Good morning. When it comes to using your Instant Pot, there are 6 facts/tips that I'd like to share with you. If you have more to add, please mention it in the comments because we're all here, according to the title of the video, to learn more about the Instant Pot. Tip number 1. When you hold the handle with the vent in the back, put this little tab on the left at about 5 o'clock, and that will help you get your lid on perfectly every time. Number 2. Also, when you're finished and you need somewhere to set the lid, just put the tab in the handle. Number 3. Number 4. Now, this little bit of information is in your manual, but who reads manuals anymore? Am I right? So, natural release versus forced release or quick release, depending on what recipe you're reading. Quick release is for when you're making boiled eggs or something that is time sensitive, because if it is naturally releasing, it is technically still cooking. So you want it to force release so that you can take it out and tend to it. This is forced release or quick release. Natural release is for things like stews or soups or beans or things that could spatter, because if you do a forced release or a quick release, that means you manually open the vent and let it spray everywhere. A lot of recipes call for it to naturally release for a certain amount of time and then to force release because of things like this. So I would just do what the recipe says. But the difference is forced release or quick release is when you slam that sealing valve towards you and you see that steam flying out of the top. Now I'm going to show you what natural release is. It is coming to pressure right now. So even though my Instant Pot eggs will only be under pressure for 5 minutes and it says I can cook eggs in 5 minutes, I still have to wait for it to come to pressure, which in this case could probably take about 10 minutes. So once it's come to pressure, then the timer will begin. Oh look, I hope that I caught that because I turned off the camera as soon as it clicked over. So now we've got 5 minutes. We're at pressure. And when this clicks off, note that float pin, that silver circle right there, yes, darling, is flush. Yes, honey, that. Did I see your?
Do you see my head bounce?
Your head bounced? Did you hit your head, honey? Once this little pin sinks down, that means that there is no more pressure in the Instant Pot.
Pressure doesn't make holes.
So we have 1 minute left on our timer. Please get out of the garbage can, sweetheart. Now we are at time. So time lapsed since we've finished is 0 minutes. But now we are starting to naturally release. You just do nothing, literally. Once it comes to time, you will then see this screen, and that L means time lapse. At least I'm making that up. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I didn't read my manual. Naturally releasing could take 10 minutes, could take 40 minutes, depends on how full and dense the food is inside of your Instant Pot.
Right.
And you can see the pin start to sink right there, which would happen on natural release just at a slower baby girl. All right, I hope that made sense. So quick release is basically just turning that little valve manually yourself as soon as the timer beeps. A bunch of steam is going to spit out. And then that silver pin will sink down to the bottom when there's no more pressure left. Natural release is when you just let it come to time, it'll beep, and you do nothing. And that pin will eventually sink down on its own. Number 5. So this just means that the time that has lapsed since the pot finished has been 6 minutes. And if you were in the military, number 6. When you put it on saute, you have to wait for it to say hot for it to be ready. And it takes an exceptionally, it takes a long.
Well, you're doing great.
About what? You have to wait for this to say hot in order for it to be in the saute function. And I've waited for a very long time and thought it was broken and just gone ahead and used it anyway, but it really does say hot eventually. So be patient with that. Also, with that last tip, when you have to wait for it to say hot, it'll show 30 minutes, then it'll show on, and then it'll show hot. I used to put the oil in the Instant Pot like I would a pan before it said hot, but it starts to spit and pop and become very dangerous. So I feel kind of weird heating up a stainless steel pan or pot without oil in it, because that's, you know, you can do that on the stove till the oil shimmers, you know what I'm saying? But in the Instant Pot, I don't know if any recipe tells you to do that, but I wouldn't recommend it, because I just let the bare bone dry Instant Pot get to the hot, display the word hot before I add any oil, because it will pop at you and it's scary. Anyway, that's it for my tips and tricks. If you have anything to add, please do, because we would all appreciate learning from you. All right, bye. I'm sorry, this was so unprofessional. It's just my life. Okay, bye.